This is an after-school program podcast.
Welcome to the Home Studio Hangout podcast, where we explore what it's like building, running, and working out of a home studio with your hosts, Joshua Matotek, Andrew Simmons, and many guests in different areas of the music industry.
And welcome back to the Home Studio Hangout podcast. My name is Andrew Simmons. I'm here with my buddy Josh. Say hello, Joshua.
Hi.
And we are here with our friend Clay.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Good.
Yeah?
I'm new to podcasting. I used to edit podcasts like as a job, and so it's weird to be on the other end.
Yeah, I did that same thing too last year, a ton of podcast edits, so I'm super feel you, but it was really weird getting on to the microphone side of it.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah, so Clay, you're vocal engineering extraordinaire. I really like what you do with vocals personally, and producer, general.
Yeah, I'm definitely that whole jack of all trades, master of none sort of thing.
Well, let's maybe introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of go back on like how you got started in music and stuff like that. So let's maybe start there, kind of introduce yourself to the people.
Sure. So yeah, obviously my name is Clay. I have a solo project called Foxchase. In more recent years, I am the vocalist for the comedy pop punk band Sunrise Skater Kids. And yeah, that's been a ton of fun working with comedy and stuff like that. I also had weird meme success with a coronavirus Hercules parody and a Japanese version of All Time Low's Dear Maria.
Yeah, so
you're very specific niche.
Yeah, you're very much in with me on like we got popular off of stuff that we had no business getting popular off of.
It's so weird, and like I enjoy it, and I guess we could talk more about that sort of stuff later.
For sure.
But yeah, lots of cool things have come from that. And also nothing has come from that.
Let's take it all the way back to the beginning and go, how did you get in, like what kind of got you into music to begin with?
Sure. So to give the most cliche story, I was born into a family of musicians. So my grandfather used to tour with the Lone Ranger as an accordion player. Yeah, and then he had 5 daughters, obviously one of them being my mother, and they were all kind of like trained in like a military way to do like 5-part harmony, and yeah, so like
that's wild.
It's
This is in your bloodline.
Yeah,
dude.
like I have to defend my honor. But my mom would, I guess I'll talk more about them as in their childhood. So yeah, they were all musically inclined from very young age. And my one aunt went on to pursue music as a career. She was doing just little mini touring things. Wasn't like a massive success or anything like that, but and my mom used to sing harmony for her, like backup vocals for her live, and to the point where like she was on tour singing backup for my aunt at like 8 months pregnant with me. So I guess I was getting country music pumped into the womb. Which is maybe why I'm not super into country. But anyway, yeah, so I just kind of had this whole lineage of musicians in my family. Weirdly enough, out of all the kids of those, I'm the only, or there's one other musician, but I'm one of the only ones that still stayed within music. So I guess it died out. But yeah, it's I guess that's technically how my music life started. But I didn't really start pursuing it until I was probably around 11 or 12, when I was just like, I think I heard like I was at like a baseball game and I think I heard like Crazy Train and I'm like, that guitar sounds cool. And my dad played guitar. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And which is like it's a pretty easy riff.
Yeah.
So my dad plays guitar a little bit. And he taught me that little riff, that and like Iron Man and Smoke on the Water, the Guitar Center Holy Trinity. So that's how I started with music. And then obviously, once you learn an instrument a little bit, you're like, oh, what other songs can I play on it? And then, yeah, yada, yada.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's how I started. I guess my interest in music. Before that, I was really into visual art as a little kid. I was like, I want to be an artist for Disney. And then, yeah, obviously that didn't pan out, unfortunately.
I mean, but your stuff is sick though. That's like one part I feel like that most people don't realize about you is that like you're sick at drawing, dude. Like at like digital
Thank you.
art media and stuff.
I was drawing earlier today while I'm installing 30,000 pieces of software on the new computer. But yeah, no, thank you. I actually stopped for a long time. Like once I got into music,
Mhm.
and then probably into high school, like halfway through high school, I was like, I hate drawing now, and I like stopped for like 8 years. And then it wasn't until like probably 2018 is when I started drawing again for a thing called Inktober, is what like a lot of digital artists do, where
Mhm.
throughout the month of October, you get a different drawing prompt every day. So it just kind of keeps you on your toes. You have to move fast. You don't spend, a week or more on a single piece. You have a day. That's it. But yeah, so once I got into music, I kind of put that aside and I started my recording career with a Rock Band USB microphone for Guitar Hero World Tour, I think.
Heck yeah.
Is what I used into Audacity, and I didn't have a mic stand, so I laid it on top of my desk and just held my guitar in front and played it.
Bro, you sound like Daniel from freaking Convictions. I don't know if you listened to that episode, but we had a whole conversation about how that's like the OG beginning of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
You have to start. Well, now people have Reaper, right? And you can just get a full DAW,
for free, basically.
Yeah. It's not free. Don't say it's free.
I'm just gonna go on record and say that anybody who tells me they use the Rock Band mic is not really dedicated. It has to be the Guitar Hero World Tour mic.
Well, I think I had that one and the Beatles Rock Band for Wii. Yeah. So I had both of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just record crappy acoustic covers. There was no click track. At least I don't think so. In Audacity back then, there's no click track.
There wasn't prior to like 2012, I think maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, this is definitely before then.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was those are awful. I wish I still had some. I have like some old recordings, but not that old. That stuff was like buried with my Tumblr account when that disappeared.
It's unlocking like pieces of my brain. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. Core memory unlocked.
Yeah. So, but that's how I started recording, and I was always way more interested in the creation side of music than I was with like performing. I have super social anxiety. I hate anything remotely social. I'm so awful with it. Which is funny because like both Lee and Josh Landry are both like, yo, come hang out, because I live in Georgia. So come hang out, and even though they're like 4 hours away, that's not that long. if you're like gonna, especially if you like stay overnight or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, we'll do something eventually. Sure.
And Lee's got all those extra rooms, bro. Josh has a bedroom at Lee's house.
I was about to say that. I was like, bro, I got a bedroom.
Does he? That's really funny.
Yeah.
No, not anymore. Someone else is staying there now, but
Aw.
I'm gonna reclaim it.
Fight him.
Yeah, I'm gonna fight over it. Well, first I have to steal his cat, and then I have to
Oh,
fight.
okay.
him.
That's funny.
Mhm.
But yeah, dude, no, I totally get that. You should super go hang out with Lee though. It's a good hang always.
I know they're both seem like super cool and like
I finally met Josh when I was down there for Kegsmas, and yeah, he's a great dude.
I'm sorry, what'd you just say? Kegsmas?
Yeah,
Yeah.
What is that?
Teddy Swims. That's his show each year.
Yeah.
Really?
They do a big Christmas show. They sell out like I don't remember. Where was it this year?
It didn't sell out because of COVID.
Yeah,
Oh.
that makes sense.
Yeah, obviously. But
COVID was going dummy. Everybody got COVID at that show besides me and Maddie. So don't know how between that and then sitting in airports for what felt like forever,
yeah.
We
Wow.
didn't get COVID.
But the prior year they sold it out.
yeah,
And they basically
I know, and I love Teddy's music. I mean,
Yeah.
he's insane. But yeah,
Oh,
I didn't
he's
know about
crazy.
that show, Kegsmas. That's funny.
yeah, they do a big Christmas show and then I think they record it too, don't they?
yeah, I think so. Lee was doing the broadcast mix for that show.
Yeah, so I think he said he recorded multi-tracks from it too, and he's gonna like do
Yeah,
something with it. But
Is that from like because I know that Teddy just did like a Christmas EP. I know he's signed now, so I don't know how that all works. But
he was from last year.
Mhm.
Well, not last year. Okay, so it came out in 2021. It was recorded in 2020.
Mhm.
Like July 2020. It's actually really old. But yeah, this is just like a Christmas show that he does every year.
Oh, cool.
I can't well, there's shenanigans at play.
Yeah.
I really don't remember how many Christmas songs he played, but I know that he did play like songs too.
Yeah.
So it's not like just like a Christmas show,
Yeah. He
Mhm.
mixes it up. It's like it's probably like a half and half set.
Yeah, him and Cassie looked all adorable, dressing up as Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus, and it was a good time. It was really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're super good people. You should definitely, when you get time away
Yeah.
and everything
I'm also
calms
like
down.
looking to buy a house and everything too. and
Are
just,
you trying to well, let's get
Southerners.
hold on a second. We'll get back to that in a second. So
Okay.
you're working and you're doing music stuff. You got into it. How'd you get to decide that you wanted to record specifically? Because you were
Gotcha.
like, oh, so I know I don't like live
Yeah.
stuff.
It's funny.
'Cause-
It's still like it's a more recent revelation than you'd probably think. Because so throughout high school, I played stuff, and that was when I was probably like 13 or 14 when I first got Pro Tools. That was my first DAW. So Audacity to Pro Tools is kind of a big learning curve.
Mhm.
That's
But I figured it out.
I think
And-
you're the first person I've talked to who had Pro Tools as their first DAW.
Yeah, and it probably was a matter of like my mom took me to Guitar Center and she's like, "What does he need?" And they're like, "This is the industry standard." And I got like an M box bundled with Pro Tools 8.
Nice.
Is when I started, and yeah, I started with that, with just all of the stock plugins and all that. But what I realize now, and it probably didn't realize until maybe like 3-4 years ago, is that I didn't want to like record. Like I don't want to be even like a producer for somebody or
Mhm.
anything like that. Because I pursued that for a while where I was so sorry to jump all over. We all have ADHD.
No,
It's
you're
gonna be
good.
like that. Let me go back to the chronological thing. So from high school, I briefly went to university and dropped out in 3 months because I think you had an episode about should you go to music school.
Yeah.
And I'm in the camp. Well, I guess it depends on what you're doing, but I'm in the no sort of thing
Mhm.
because it really is a one, it's a dumb luck thing or like who sort of thing.
Mhm.
You're just making connections and opportunities. It really is just like I've been very lucky for people I've been able to work with and stuff like that. But at one point I did think I want to be like kind of like Lee. Like I consider like Lee, he's an engineer, like a true engineer. You know, there's a lot of people who are like, I record, and it's just like they bring their buddy over to like their basement and but yeah, like I went to the Blackbird Academy in Nashville.
Nice.
And I graduated there, and that was a great experience. I learned a lot. But it also taught me that I didn't want to intern for the rest of my life. And and I couldn't afford it because one, it's Nashville. I was for like a 800 square foot apartment. I was paying $1,200 a month. And while in school, so I was working night shifts, baking donuts at Dunkin' Donuts, and it just wasn't feasible. But I don't want to call out any studios or anything like that, but there were internship opportunities where they demanded that you work there for over 40 hours a week for free.
Oof.
Yeah, and I'm like,
like,
cool.
oh, it's gonna make you level up. Like okay, it only lets you level up in certain cases.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's and you're not the only one there. Like you know, and then it gets all weirdly competitive with like other interns or like it shouldn't be. You know, and ideally, I had a lot of friends at Blackbird that got really great like assistant engineer positions. You know, they weren't just an intern. They were there to actually help record these records.
Yeah.
Like a buddy of mine got at was it Southern Ground, which is Zach Brown's studio. Yeah, which I think he actually just recently sold or something, or was selling. But he got a great job there for a few years. And I got to meet a bunch of really awesome engineers. Obviously John McBride, you know, owns Blackbird, but you know, I got to speak with like Dave Pensato, Greg Wells, and I met CLA a couple times. That was something. I digress.
Yeah. Black box, white comb, baby. Sound of hits.
I have. Oh, you were actually. Yeah, I met you at NAMM.
Yeah, we met. We met at NAMM.
Yeah. When I have two of those CLA The Sound of Hits T-shirts. I love those. They're so stupid.
Bro, that's literally all we were saying that day.
It's the sound of hits.
Me, you, Chris, and Brian were all just yelling the sound of hits at each other.
But yeah, I met some really awesome people there and worked on some really cool things. But yeah, ultimately I did learn. I'm like, I don't want to record. I just like recording myself. You know, and for a while I did some production stuff. I very briefly, like I would record friends, you know, people I was already close with. I'm like, yeah, you can come over and we can work on something, and I would like produce their music and, you know, record them because they don't have their own setup or anything like that. But I realized like I don't want, because I am so introverted, the whole social aspect of constantly being introduced to strangers and having to basically hit like a reset switch about like, hi, I am me. Like, yeah. How do I think a good analogy that I can come up with is like, if you go to like a theme park and there's like the long line, and when you're waiting in that long line, there's like a thing, like an introductory like audio or something playing that like introduces you to the line while you're waiting, and then once you go in, it resets for like the other people that are waiting in that line. It's just having to constantly be almost be like on a reset repeat sort of thing where I constantly have to learn the person and like their communication style, you know, when you're recording with somebody.
Yeah, you have to learn how to read them.
I'm sorry? I
said, yeah, you have to like learn how to read people and like.
Yeah, everybody's super different.
Yeah, see, like that's something that like I honestly kind of like. I feel like I was always good at that. And like especially like getting into sales and stuff. Like I don't know if it was like a conscious decision or if it just kind of happened. I ended up liking that, but yeah, no, I could see how that's like extremely exhausting for a lot of people.
Yeah, especially for somebody who's like not built for that mentally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are times whenever I'm just like over it because like, you know, you really do have to like cater to a lot of people's egos, you know? And there's times whenever I'm just like, I'm just done, you know? But yeah, that definitely gets exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, it just you know, it's I don't regret I regret going to university for 3 months and paying $35,000.
Sure.
Yeah, those Christian universities.
Right, get you.
I almost went to MTSU, and then I was like, maybe I shouldn't, because like
so,
my
wait,
parents.
you said you're from PA or no?
Yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh.
Okay. Well, I went to University of Valley Forge, which is in like Phoenixville, I think is the name of it. Again, I was there very briefly. It's basically pretty much right next to Philly.
Oh, you way out on the other. Yeah, we don't like Philly.
That's okay. Philly doesn't like Pittsburgh. No one likes Pittsburgh. No, I'm kidding.
I never be one of those dudes that's like, yeah, I'm never going to that city. Because like there's literally people around here who are like scared to like drive in this city, which is like 20 minutes that way. And then there's also people like my friend, like Nick, who's been on the podcast. He has a great story of this person he went to high school with. It's like, yeah, I'm thinking about planning a trip to New York soon. You know, like I really miss the city. And they were like, why would you want to go to New York? And he was like, why wouldn't you want to go to New York? Like it's, you know, there's so much art and culture and like, you know, it's a huge city. Like why wouldn't you want to go visit? And they were like, well, we have pictures for that. And they were dead serious. So I never want to be that guy, but I'm never going to Philly. We have
yeah. And I'm not from Philly or anything.
Jersey boy, right?
Yeah. So I born and raised in Jersey, and then after high school, briefly went to Pennsylvania for college, and then from there straight drove 16 hours and moved to Nashville. So that was an endeavor.
There you go.
And I had to make that trip multiple times.
Yeah, it sounds like me with Florida. I've done that. I've driven from St. Petersburg, Florida to Pittsburgh 6 times, and then to Atlanta.
Buy a plane, dude. Just buy a plane.
Yeah, I probably should have. What part of New Jersey are you from?
I'm from Central Jersey, which is mythical to a lot of people.
Yeah,
there is a Central Jersey. But I'm from Monmouth County. It's like literally dead center, right along the Jersey Shore. Yeah. So, I grew up Monmouth County, specifically a little town called Eatontown. Nothing goes on there. Nothing's important. If we had a military base there, and that shut down, so now we have nothing.
Like my scope of like scale as far as distance goes is like pretty skewed whenever it comes to most of the Northeast, because like Pennsylvania is like a pretty big state considering
it's pretty big.
Northeast, but then it's also a really small state compared to the West Coast. So like how
compared to the central of America too.
Yeah, exactly. So like how far away were you from New York City?
Oh God, 45 minutes.
Okay, yeah. You probably lived right near where I have some family that lives out that way, and it was always wild because like it was kind of like almost like a mountain town, like where get feet of snow, but then like you could be in New York within an hour. It was really cool.
No,
I really like
despite the reputation, I think Jersey was like a gorgeous state. It was really nice. I mean, like, it gets cold, but people up in Minnesota are probably scoffing at me. So
right. Yeah, that's kind of how it is here. Like, it's very moderate. We got 9 inches of snow yesterday.
Yeah,
and it's been like under 20 degrees.
Wait, where are you now?
Pittsburgh.
You're still there. Oh, okay. I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, right now we're still here.
He moved to St. Pete and then had to move back because COVID.
Yeah, because COVID. Yeah, we moved down there because Madeline got a job at the minor league baseball headquarters as a director, and then like COVID helped accelerate the process in Major League, just absorbing all of minor league's operations.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. So then we moved back here, and we're about to start making plans to move to Atlanta. So.
Oh, great. More people.
yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't really been up towards Atlanta because again it's like a 4-hour drive, so
Yeah.
I haven't really had.
You're more
I
on
mean,
the
other
you're more on the
than-
coast, right? You're like Savannah area, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty. I'm like about an hour from Savannah, an hour west. Yeah, and so we were actually right now we're looking for houses. It's been a process. And we've been outbid on houses like 3 times. We were like, "Oh, we got it," and they're like, "No, we don't."
Like, the whole housing thing is insane here. Whenever I was working
So
at the
bad.
car dealer, to give you an idea where I live, so I live about 25 minutes north of Pittsburgh. Like 25 minutes north of Atlanta is like basically still Atlanta, but like for Pittsburgh, like I'm almost in the sticks, you know.
Mhm.
Like there's people who you know, like this is their hometown, and like Pittsburgh is like a different land to them, you know. Like
Yeah.
it's very like separate. And so there were guys that I was working with trying to buy houses, and they were offering like $25,000 over what the asking price was for the house, and they were still getting outbid.
Yeah. It be like that though.
Yeah, bro.
Crazy. And I was like, yo, like where like why are people moving here?
We're lucky that we bought our house in 2019 before like
Ugh.
the housing market went wild. We got a 3-bedroom in
God.
Greenville for like 135,000.
Oh. I
So-
envy you.
Yeah, it was, bro. Honestly, we bought it before it even hit market though.
Yeah,
was really nice.
We're kind of in a position where like we know somebody that's completely renovating a house, and we might just have to do it that way.
Yeah, our realtor was a boss. He was on top of stuff, so he got us our offer in before it even hit market.
Yeah, our realtor that we have is actually really good. It's just
It's hard
I
right
mean,
now, dude. It's
yeah.
competitive.
because of how everything's going, and basically everyone wants to be a landlord and get passive income. So the place I'm renting right now, a couple months ago, someone bought it from my previous landlord without even looking at it. They never came here. They never looked at this place. They just bought it.
That's crazy.
And I met them like a month after they bought it. They were like, "Oh yeah," and I think I don't know if they live in California or if they live in Atlanta.
Yeah, there's a lot of people from California moving over here and just buying up like 2 or 3 pieces of land
Yeah,
or houses before they even get here.
yeah, it sucks. It's awful.
It's really unfortunate that we live in like this middle period of you know, kind of like where our populations reside, because like there is a ton of unoccupied, very inhabitable land in America,
Oh
but
yeah.
there's just nothing there. So
Exactly.
I can't wait until cyberpunk takes full form, and we get to choose our factions of either
Street kid.
work for Jeff or Elon, and Jeff subsidized
Subsidized.
yeah, that word, housing. And then, dude, it's gonna be so sick. I can't wait. We're asking to go full force. It's gonna be so dope.
It's gonna be so sick. So back to the music side of things.
No, back to cyberpunk.
No, you're good. This is what we do here.
Yeah.
Everyone's used to it at this point. So you go to Nashville. I met you. I think you might have been living in Kentucky at that point.
So yeah, my timeline is like Jersey basically my whole life through like 18, 19 years old.
And then you moved like 4 times in like
Oh
a
my
span of a
God.
couple years.
Yep. It's been a nightmare. Yeah, moved out to Nashville for a year because Blackbird is only a 6-month program.
Mhm.
And so I did that. And then we moved up to an area called Clarksville.
Yeah, I know
Excuse me.
Clarksville, Tennessee.
Okay. Yeah.
My
Great
pastor's
area.
my pastor's from there.
I loved it there.
Yeah, he liked it there a lot.
It was a military town where all the housing was stupid cheap and really nice. But we were renting, obviously.
Yeah.
But moved there. It was a great place. We were there for 2 years, and then the landlord was like, we're gonna sell this. And so they're like, we're not renting it anymore. You have 30 days to get out. Yeah. So then 2 days before we would have been forced out, we finally found a place. Like a friend of my mom. We didn't even see it, and it wasn't finished being like renovated yet. Again, 2 days before we had to be out. So it was just like, all right, I guess we're here. Incredibly small house in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Not the best area.
Yeah, that's what you told me. You were like, I don't really go outside.
It was just, it wasn't awful, but it was so depressing there, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we were there for 10 months. So we didn't even finish our lease. And then moved out here.
Yeah. So you let's go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, yeah, we didn't finish our lease in Florida because we didn't have hot water, so we used that to get out. Cool.
Yeah, we moved to Georgia specifically to be closer to my parents. Just because they're getting older and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that was that was going to be my question. What made you move towards like Georgia?
Yeah. They live in a place called Midway. It's kind of like not swampy area. They live on a lake. It's actually really nice.
Okay.
But there's a lot of the like hanging moss trees.
Gotcha.
All around.
Yeah, and I kind of know the area that you're talking about.
Yeah. It's pretty. It's just it is a little bit not in the middle of nowhere because there's plenty of like, Burger Kings and
yeah, but it is very old South.
Yeah.
It's very like old 1800s South.
Not their area. It's not that old.
Well, okay. Well, there are places like on that side of Georgia that are very old.
Savannah has some super old buildings.
Yeah.
I love Savannah, and that's where we're looking to buy. At the
Dude,
moment.
it's so cool.
The most scary part about the drive from Florida is whenever you get out of the Tampa area, and then right after you pass, I think it's Gainesville, then there's just like nothing.
No.
It's Savannah. And then after Savannah, there's still nothing. And that dead space in between always made me feel like I was about to be put like on a shirt or something.
It's terrifying.
So scary. I did not like it. Like you're just driving for miles and then all of a sudden there's like a bunch of houses. I don't even know what to call them. They almost reminded me of like the steel town houses that I see around here, but they're almost like nicer sheds, like almost like a prefab kind of thing.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's just like, where do these people work? Where do you get food? What do you do?
Lots of people farm. We had a neighbor with chickens and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, I got friends with chickens too.
Yeah, well, yeah, my fiance really wants to have some chickens and stuff.
So you guys are looking for something like really specific then too, if you're trying to have like a little bit of a homestead.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that bad. It's just it needs somewhat of a yard. We have a dog.
Yeah, and somewhat of a yard, like a quarter acre lot or something like that, and you could do some
super big. I mean, obviously, you don't want to annoy people. With like a crowing rooster or something,
and yelling from your house.
Yeah, I have to make sure wherever we are, it's well insulated. I have my sound panels, but that doesn't soundproof. Yeah, and some of the stuff I do is a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
I guess with that, we can segue back into our podcast.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so what made you decide I'm going to be the vocal guy?
I'm the vocal guy. I've always, I mean, it might be because my family had that whole harmony thing growing up. But I just always loved vocal arrangement stuff and a cappella music and stuff like that. I just realized I'm talking away from my microphone like an idiot.
No, you're good.
That's all I do. You can't even see mine.
It's a good thing I don't have a camera because mine is just like in my face. You would see like my eyes and that's it behind my pop filter. But yeah, I've just always really enjoyed arranging vocals because um, they're so dynamic in the sense of like tonally. Like I do lots of things where like if I have a big vocal stack of like, it's singing like a chord, like a pad or something, but I almost like do a filter sweep, but with my mouth, you know what I mean? Like, what? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
that sort of thing. And you have 25 voices doing that.
It sounds super cool.
And then and also like sliding between notes or something. It can just create such cool effects. Like you can probably get that sort of thing with like fretless instruments and whatever. But the cool part is that it's not an instrument, it's a human being. But yeah, just I probably so my parents are very religious, and my dad was a pastor. But so I grew up pretty much only listening to Christian music, lots of CCM stuff, which I know has like these big anthemic like vocals a lot of times, and like
it's honestly all about the vocal. Like all of the mixes are all about the vocal. The production wise is pretty minimal outside of vocal production.
Yeah, you have to get a guitar and piano drowned in reverb, and then
a good backbeat on its kit.
a 30-second long studio or stadium reverb with people singing along to you.
Yep.
There was a joke that my teacher at Blackbird used to say that you could always tell whenever you would it wasn't even a joke actually. He was serious. Whenever you could always tell what was the Christian radio station by when you're changing through, and then you hear this like super shiny, consistent high end. Basically like the entire thing has like an Aphex oil exciter on it.
Sheen, yeah.
And like honestly, so you could say whatever about CCM music. That's like ATM machine. I just realized. Whatever. But production and mix wise, they're solid.
They are very good. They're consistent.
Very good. Yeah. Like I still reference Toby Mac's Portable Sounds record.
Oh yeah.
That album is
a good
mixed
record.
so well. But
and
anyway.
like the vocal production and choices and are very, very, very good.
Yeah. No, and like it is very clean. Both sonically and lyrically.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that doesn't work for everything, but I mean they're good.
Yeah. The so what made you say I'm gonna do specifically the tuning side of things, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, so
because I feel like that's something that people don't think about as like a viable
like niche.
Like a career option. Like that's literally all you have to do.
Yeah, that's I've been very lucky with how much I've been able to support myself just with vocal editing work. To finish my tangent that I was on with the whole CCM thing, that's probably where I got the sort of love or like focus on vocals so much, is because that's so forward in that type of music.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. Especially like, I mean, like those were some of like the early like super hyper focused like vocal arrangements, like if we're talking about like the early days of like auto-tune and stuff like that, like there were guys who would just like their job was to tune vocals because like computers weren't fast and stuff like that.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I mean, budgets were so big that back then that like guys were just stacking cash by sitting there and doing vocals all day. So I could definitely see how like, these massive like CCM labels are just like shelling out money for these like crazy productions. It totally
that reminds me.
This makes sense.
That reminds me, I'm going to go on a rant later about autotune and stuff like that.
We will touch on that
in defense of autotune.
Yeah.
But what started me on that path, as far as vocal editing as like my work, funny enough, I don't know if you guys like play a lot of video games.
Josh does a lot of.
Okay. Well, you probably heard of this. So there's a game called Portal.
Oh, I've played Portal. I love Portal.
Yeah. Okay.
I miss that game so much.
Yeah, me too.
I love Portal. And GLaDOS in that, voiced by Ellen McLean. She would I forget if she would speak the lines normally or say all of her lines monotone, and then they would pitch shift her in Melodyne just randomly and adjust format randomly to get the sound of her voice.
That's really cool.
And as like I was a kid, and I'm like, that's so cool. I want to know how to do that. And I bought Melodyne so I could become a Portal turret as a child. And they got me Melodyne 3. And eventually I'm like, oh, wait, I can use this for music too because I'm stupid. And again, I was young. But that's how I discovered Melodyne. And yeah, and that's how I started learning about vocal tuning. And of course, like anyone doing anything at first, didn't quite know what I was doing. But over time, you learn. And one of my main things that I guess I'll if we talk more about production stuff later, the thing that I loved about music, God, I feel like I have to like die. I got the cough or something, but I can't get it out. Anyway, edit that out, whoever's editing this. Crap, the ADD is setting in. What was I saying? Help me.
Okay, you're good. Oh, you're good. We're talking about Melodyne and how you got into vocal tuning as a job.
Yeah, I know, and I still can't think of it where I was going.
And then you realized you could do it with music. So
yeah.
And then you were talking about vocal production.
I'm so brain dead. Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you. Production. Actual production. Yeah. Like music. The thing that really got me into it was trying to recreate things. And I still think that is one of the biggest things people can do to level up their production skills. Because I still will do that. Like, I used to think like, oh, I want to cover this song because I love this song. And because I always do vocals last, once I would get the instrumental recreated, I lost all interest. Because most of the time, unless like the song had something really cool vocally that I wanted to figure out. But it was more of my ADHD thing where I want to learn everything. I want to I just have this thing where like I'll have like hyperfixations on like certain creative niches. And for production stuff, I'll be like, oh, I really want to figure out how they made this synth sound, or the drums on this sound so cool, or like the song has a really weird rhythm, or like I want to see what exactly that is, like if you look at it against a grid or something like that. I feel like I'm hearing myself double. No, I'm not. Okay. I just want to make sure that the recording didn't mess up. But yeah, that's like a huge thing regarding
no, for sure. I feel like that's how a lot of people get started, right?
Yeah.
Is like the whole like I hear this thing, I want to know how to do that thing, so I start trying to make that thing, and then it leads you down the path of, well, if I can do that, then I can try this, and then I can do that, and then you hear another song, you're like, oh, that's really cool. I wonder how you do that.
Yeah, and to circle back around, I mean, me wanting to know, like, how did they make GLaDOS's voice in that video game is what got me a career in a weird way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just always really loved vocal arrangements, and just whenever I would cover stuff, it could be a combination of just like there's a famous thing that like John Lennon would hate the sound of his own voice, so that's why like a lot of the stuff would be like doubled, and that's kind of like where vocal doubles came in, because the more affected it sounded, the happier he was. So it could have been an insecurity sort of thing like that, where I'm like, I hate my voice, but if I layer it up enough, it sounds cool. If I'm not interesting enough, the production can be.
That's actually crazy, because that's like how I learned how to sing. Like, so I was working with metal bands, and then I was like, man, all of these guys act like vocals are an afterthought, but like for me, like the vocal cadence and the rhyme scheme is like everything. even whenever it's screaming vocals, you know.
Yeah.
And so, like, I kind of took on that whole thing, and then I started you know, getting into pop because of that. But I remember whenever I was first trying to do pop music, I was like, well, I can't sing very well. Like, you know, like I was able to do like the whole pitch scream thing, which was crazy, but like I couldn't sing below that, you know? And so I started singing into autotune. And then because of that, I was like, okay, well, like now I could get demos. Like it slowly got to the point where like now I'm a half decent singer. And like it's just like really funny thinking about how you know, we all have like these certain like things that we're trying to learn. And we end up like leveling up multiple times because it's like that one silly thought, you know. It's like for me, like, oh well, I want to be able to like, you know, maybe try to do like pop songs or something like that. And then like now like I can actually consider myself like somewhat of a singer, you know.
Yeah, I've heard your stuff, and it sounds great. Then when you said like a lot of people do get started that way, like as far as recreating songs or something like that, I've found more people aren't, and they're just trying to go in blind, and that like they kind of have ideas in their head, but don't know how to really get them out, or like
yeah, maybe it's just the people that I talk to that are successful are the ones that do that.
Okay, well that's a different story.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. It's like because like mostly when I'm talking to people like that, I'm talking to people that are like you that do this, you know, for real, and like Josh that do this for real. You know what I mean? And it's like I feel like a lot of people that I find that are successful, I'll amend it to that the some of the most successful people I find are the ones that are teaching themselves through trying to recreate work that is already like successful.
Yeah, that's something that Matt Rad was talking about. He was like, if you haven't tried this, like everybody needs to sit down and like try to recreate their favorite song. And
always
talking about like even like recent productions, like he'll still sit down whenever he doesn't have work and like he'll try to like recreate a song that he likes right now just because he learns more from that from anything else. And like for me, like I never tried to like recreate somebody else's work. I always just tried to like do my own thing. But you know, I can look back at like those certain moments where I came close to that, where it was just like, okay, like how did they get the drum sound in this city by the 1975, you know, or like you know, how did they get that guitar tone on this record? And then like those were like the biggest learning points for me. And I feel like if I did sit down and I just tried to like recreate something like, you know, 1-to-1, it would have been I probably would be a lot better.
Yeah, it's I think the mindset that because you were saying that you don't want to copy someone, you want to do your own thing. Of course, you know, everybody like should strive to try and be unique. But the point is deconstructing something so that you know how to implement it in your own way on your stuff. So like, you know, like you said, like a guitar tone or like a drum sound on a song. For me, like I still struggle dialing in like a guitar tone that I really like. And I found that it almost depends on like the key of the song and stuff. Like even if it's the same genre, if you use like the same sort of tone, and it's in different keys, sometimes it just doesn't work right, at least in my experience. And of course it depends on, you know, whatever you're doing. But yeah, it really is a super useful tool. I still do this just in my own time, just recreating songs just because I don't know, it's like I guess it also takes pressure off trying to be creative, and it helps me because I get kind of creatively burned out a lot depending on the stuff I'm doing. That's why I don't like write for people anymore. Like I don't do top lining really anymore. Do people like listening know what top lining is by now?
Yeah, we've actually talked a lot about it because Josh mainly does top lining.
Okay, yeah, and like top lining is I mean, I feel like I know more top liners than any other like kind of music related job. Like I know yeah. Because, you know, I mean songwriters are the most important part because it's the song. I've always struggled with lyrics just I always get in my own head and I'm like, this sounds like too cliche or whatever. But so, and I've never been like, 90% of songs are basically love songs in some way, you know. I've always just never been able to write songs about that. I don't know. It just felt like, in a weird way, it was filler. And yet when I listen to songs that are love songs, I have no issue with it. It's just when I'm trying to write it. But anyway,
Interesting.
so I tried to do top lining for a long time, like a few years, and I did. But it always felt super forced and just never came out with like a product I was super happy with. And I just became so burnt out that I wasn't making music really at all. So being able to recreate things takes the creative side out, where I'm just like trying to analyze. And again, with my ADHD brain, that does weirdly help just kind of focus me in on stuff.
Hey everyone, I wanted to tell you about a great company called That Pitch. Have you ever had some leftover song ideas you just didn't know what to do with? Or maybe you needed to flex that writing muscle, but you still need to get paid? Enter That Pitch, a sync licensing company that pitches your productions directly to their exclusive list of clients. That Pitch has already paid out over $120,000 to its members since October of 2020. They provide production advice, business training, and other resources to make your songs better. Go to thatpitch.com to sign up and use the code HANGOUT for 20% off your monthly or yearly subscription.
So talking about recreation, and I'm going to link to these, but is that kind of where you were going with your like cartoon cover songs stuff that you did for a while? Because those are sick.
I mean, thank you. So there is that. I remember the one thing that I really wanted to recreate, or like I was really trying to recreate. The other ones I was just like, they're theme songs, like people kind of get it, and I've also put my own sort of thing on it.
For those that don't know, Clay has a series of where he's like he's recreated and like I guess done up a little bit to more radio standard.
I get if you want to say that.
Yeah, I guess that's a kind of
they're basically
way,
just
but like
covers. But they're obviously my own style. Which I used to. Back to that recreating thing, you don't want to fall in the trap of like, if you cover a song, don't make it like exactly like the same.
Yeah, it's not a 1-to-1.
Yeah,
sure.
because like, why would people listen to yours if it's exactly the same? Just listen to the original.
But there are aspects of, so I think of like My Shiny Teeth and Me. There's like aspects of that song, like the acoustic guitar part, that is very specific to that song. And recreating the tone of that to the original, I feel like is pretty specific. And then like the Phineas and Ferb one, I feel like there's a lot of parts to that needed to be 1-to-1.
Yeah, so I don't remember if the horn parts were exactly the same. I might have just written my own things. Like Phineas and Ferb is just a ska song. It's done by Bowling for Soup, but it's pretty much just a ska.
Soup. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's Bowling for Soup.
Yeah, Bowling for Soup, who's also Chuck E. Cheese, if you didn't know that. Wait, I don't know if you said anything.
I said, wait, what?
Yeah, the singer for Bowling for Soup is Chuck E. Cheese. Anyway,
you're blowing Josh's mind right now.
Where a kid can be a kid, I did Kim Possible, and that one was the only time I think where I was just like, it has such a cool, like, I don't know if it's a surf guitar tone. It has like this tremolo reverby.
Yeah, that.
And of course the communicator, the dun dun dun. Which is probably just like a square wave or something. I forget how I did it, but recreating those felt important. And with that song, I wanted to keep the sort of early 2000s, I guess late 90s. It was definitely a 2000s show, but musically, it was very much of that era.
It had that NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears kind of pop vibe.
the break beat in the back
Yeah.
and stuff. Which I love. I'm very much obsessed with the early 2000s era of music. And I know it's always like the music you were listening to when you were like 10 years old or something is like the one that sticks with you for like life pretty much.
Oh yeah.
In your formative years.
Everyone knows like all the early 2000s like pop music, and I just don't, because like
really?
I didn't come up with it. Like my parents were born in the 60s, so like their like golden era of music was like always like the 80s, and so like I came up on like new wave and like 80s pop and stuff like that, and so
yeah, that was the weird part for me.
Like belting out all these like crazy pop songs, and I'm like I don't know any of these.
Yeah, I mean, so because like I wasn't exaggerating when I said that all I listened to was CCM. Like I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music until basically high school. So 14, 15 years old. So the part of, I mean, the closest thing and still my one of my favorite bands is Relient K. And obviously they are a Christian.
And also like vocal parts out the was, dude.
Super, yeah. I mean, I would say Matt Thiessen is a super formative part of even just my vocal tone. I just, not that I tried to sing like him, but just I think it just ended up, like a nurture sort of thing, where it's just like I would always, listen to these songs. Therefore, I'm like, this is how people sing. But yeah, I mean, Relient K's influences are definitely like super Brian Wilson, like Beach Boys and stuff like that. So it's like that mix of pop punk or pop rock with these big vocal arrangements. Definitely. I remember there were some vocal arrangements of Relient K songs that I did when I was younger. But so it was weird because I was I had that like sheltered upbringing basically. And so I didn't experience the sort of nostalgia for a lot of things that a lot of people have. But yet the early 2000s music, even though I didn't like directly listen to it, I probably, you would hear it in a grocery store or like in a McDonald's or something. Yeah. Back with the McDonald's play places that I don't think exist
and like on
anymore.
Commercials and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like yeah. And so I love a lot of that early like Michelle Branch. She has like that very early 2000s pop rock sound that is definitely coming back in style. If you listen to the most recent Pale Waves album, yeah, it's super of that era, and I love it. And everything's coming back around for 90s, early 2000s right now in a weird way.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're gonna hear a lot more break beats in
I'm okay
songs
with it.
soon.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm here for it. I just think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's like a huge thing right now. Like it's just like the whole early 2000s, late 90s vibe.
It's upsetting to me because that's always like what I've liked doing, and like I'm not big enough to make a living off of doing that, I guess. It's gonna peak like pretty much now within the next like year or two. Yeah. And then go away, and I would have missed it probably.
The hottest take in the world. I think that era of music is almost as bad as like the 2005 to 2010 like top 40 radio. I still dig a lot of the vibes. Like I just did a song that I sent out for Pitch that's like very much like a late 90s like alt rock meets pop kind of thing. Like I love like the cheesiness of a lot of that music.
There is a little bit of cheese. It definitely depends. The same thing with 80s music. I think I'm really not into the whole vaporwave sort of like 80s revival sort of stuff, just because it's a weird regurgitated like romanticized version of the 80s, when if you actually, like you said, you grew up listening to 80s music, so did I. I mean, I grew up listening to like Zeppelin and the Beatles. Like I know every Beatles song, and like a lot of classic rock. Queen, obviously another influence for my vocal stuff. Doing Queen. but a lot of those were 80s records, and yes, I guess you could say they were just 80s rock, but rock kind of was still the pop of that time. So this whole weird, like, with the Linn drums, with gated reverb and everything.
It's pretty much just Genesis and Tears for Fears.
Yeah, and like
it's like two or three bands out of 80s pop music.
Yeah, it's like
even then, like Tears for Fears didn't sound like how like the Midnight sound.
No, but yeah, it's just if somebody had that as their thing, that's cool. But the fact that everyone was doing it for the past probably like 5-6 years now, and I still see posts where it's just like, I can't believe 80s is back. And it's less so now because now that like 90s is super forward, like it's very clearly we are in the next whatever loop.
Yeah, we're deep into 90s grunge right now.
Yeah. But for a long time people were just like, oh, you were finally hitting 80s. I'm like, it's been the 80s for the past 5 years. I don't know what you're listening to, but everything has the same sort of like.
Dude, I'm convinced that the 1975 just like sets the tone for all that, because like they made I Like It When You Sleep, and then they dipped out and they were like,
it was like that and Starboy happened at the same time, and I feel like that was like 80s is here.
Yeah. And everyone was like, yeah, we're doing 80s, and then they released their last record, which is all just like 90s pop songs. And
God, dude, I mean, with the 1975, like I Like It When You Sleep, that's probably my favorite record from them. But it's not record. 80s in the sense that like, haha, this sounds like an 80s album, you know what I mean? Where if you listen to like The Weeknd's newest album, Dawn FM or whatever, it is very clearly like, we're doing 80s. It doesn't like,
it sounds like a Michael Jackson record. It like almost 1-to-1.
Yeah, and it's just I don't want to say that it's like disingenuous, because it's not that it's that. I mean, but it's just it felt kind of forced. But if you listen to like say the 1975 stuff, obviously, yeah, of course, there's those not references, influences on there. Like if you listen to Love Me and then you listen to Fame by I think David Bowie, they're like the same song.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with that record, because like I believe they were just like, yeah, we want to make a record of like what we imagined we would be making music if it was the 1980s and we lived in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
And that's like, literally what I mean. That's what I think that's kind of what they've always done. Is like, what if we were in this time period?
Yeah, like this last record, there was a lot more like garage influences and stuff. Like we just wanted it to sound like the radio when our parents were driving us around when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of thing is like super, super interesting. I really don't like the whole overdone, like, we're going to double down on all these things. And then it doesn't even really sound like that era, it just sounds like we're trying,
Yeah, that's so I loved 24 Karat Magic. I by Bruno.
I love that record.
That record is so good. And it definitely has its like 80s influences, its 90s influences,
a little bit of 70s here and there too. Yeah, some disco,
a little bit, and not as much as like Silk Sonic, obviously.
No, which Silk Sonic is literally a ported 70s record.
Yeah, and again, it's
in
good.
A really great way.
Yeah, it's good. I really liked the Silk Sonic record, but it did feel again kind of like we are trying to do this. But Bruno and
Anderson.
Anderson Paak. I don't know how to actually
Anderson
say.
Paak.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
They both fit that vibe pretty naturally.
That's pretty much what Anderson Paak's sound is.
Exactly.
Is like that, but also make it hip hop.
Yeah. And I feel like they did touch on that, especially like you listen to Smoking Out the Window, and it's very clearly a 70s song musically, but lyrically it is very. I mean, you got your kids running around my place like it's Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah,
is one of the lyrics of that song. But yeah, those with like 24 Karat Magic or the 1975 stuff, it still sounds like they are doing themselves. You can have your influences in your music. That's totally fine, and that's how you can create. What makes things unique is usually a stupid mishmash of a bunch of different influences. Like nothing's original at this point. You really can't. The original part is the combination of these things,
and then a little bit of like the way you interpret all of those things.
Exactly. And that you can't help that either.
Mhm.
Like, you know,
It's like with that's like with, you know, there's a lot of bands who are like trying to like do their thing to like tip their hat at Kurt. And so
mhm.
I was going through like one of like the new grunge playlists, and a lot of these bands, it's just very obvious. They're like, yeah, we're really trying to be Nirvana, and the only band that like does it, and like because they sound that way, is Super Heaven. And then even after they broke up, and then Bro made Webbed Wing, like it just sounds like 90s songs. Like it sounds like his favorite music is just from the 90s, and like perfect, you know?
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of people who do it where like it just sounds like painfully forced.
Yeah. Basically, you don't want it to sound like you're doing a karaoke of that era. You want it to, you know, sound like your music that has, again, I hate to keep saying the word influence or whatever.
Like shaped you as an individual. Yeah.
Like I was saying, you can't help that. Like I can't not sound like me when I sing.
Mhm.
Like as much as I would like to for certain things. Like I love jazz. I love a lot of R&B and R&B stuff, and my voice is just not suited for
Mhm.
that. I've got a more raspy, higher voice that just doesn't lend itself to
Yeah.
a lot of genres. And you know, you have to come to terms with it. It's just
But it works well for the things that you do, which is namely like early 2000s, late 90s pop music and
pop rock sort of stuff.
And then like modern pop punk, which is all high voiced people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Except for Mark Hoppus.
Well, yeah, obviously.
The one baritone.
Yeah, the one. So with that in mind, let's slide over to, you started doing these cover songs. How in the world did you get connected with Jarrod?
Okay. So I've been a huge fan of Jarrod's since I was like in high school, I think.
Same. As people who like come from the scene and love comedy.
Yeah.
I feel like most people that like those two things really like Jarrod Alonge.
Yeah. I've always I've really liked comedy music. And I definitely find that easier for me. And that just might be because I don't know. I have a jokey personality. So I guess that sort of like songwriting style, that comes more naturally to me versus, I guess, traditional songwriting. Not that I write any of the Sunrise Skater Kid stuff, though. Like he's not opposed to that. It's just that it's primarily his project. But in the future, there could be times where I just completely take over and he's, you know, focusing, because he has like 4 fake bands.
Yeah, he's got the deathcore one. He's got the Canadian softball one that's like a Midwest emo ripoff.
Yep. Yeah.
And then he's got another one.
Yeah, and then there's like Crazy 88, which is his quote unquote serious band with Lauren Babbitt and Patty Walters.
Which freaking that band rules.
Yeah, Lauren's insane.
Lauren's crazy.
I get to sing with her soon.
So that's so cool.
It's gonna be cool. I can't say what it is, but yeah. So the way I got hooked up with that, though, like talking to Jarrod and stuff. So it's funny. He had a contest years ago, back when I was still living in Jersey, and it was just like a cover contest. You could win this stupid meme guitar that was like covered in a bunch of stickers or something. It was like garbage. It was like a guitar you'd probably win at like Six Flags. If you like popped all the balloons with a water gun or something. But you would win that, and I did a cover and I came in 3rd. And the one that won was like a shit post, which is which
obviously
is
that's gonna win.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I genuinely like, it's funny. I get
it's on brand. I get it.
Yeah. It was, I think, from what I remember, it was like hyperpop way before hyperpop was a thing.
That's funny.
So yeah, it was like kind of like 100 Gex covers of a Jarrod Alonge song. But they a few years later, the old singer of Sunrise Skater Kids disappeared off the face of the planet. No one knows where he is. Jarrod
So
doesn't know where he is.
yeah, I was gonna say I didn't know whoever sang those songs
Yeah.
because I think in my mind it was always
Jarrod.
what's his not Jarrod. I knew it wasn't Jarrod.
Oh.
I thought it was Jarrod.
I knew it wasn't
A
Jarrod.
lot of people
So
do.
I knew it wasn't Jarrod because my is my stuff glitching to you?
A little bit.
That's
you're,
weird.
You're lagging a little bit, but
Oh, okay. I think it's fixed. Anyway, a buddy of mine was in one of his music videos for that song "The Swimmer," where he was making fun of Memphis Mayfire.
yeah.
So the band
Also,
that,
you thought
the band that he
Mike?
got was a friend of mine's band from Nashville.
okay. Yeah, because he lives in Chattanooga.
Yeah, so he got a band from Nashville, and my friend was a guitar player in that band. So
Oh, really?
he's in that music video. He's like, yeah, it's definitely not Jarrod singing.
Oh yeah, no, that's Mike. Mike
Yeah.
is also the vocalist for. So he has an actual band called Boys of Fall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. They're great.
Yeah.
And then he also, he does the Amidst the Graves Demons. Is the name of the
Yeah,
comedy.
that's the other
like
one.
it's basically it's like a Day to Remember sort of.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, Amidst the Graves Demons, is the one that Mike would always sing on, and he sings and screams. He's like the most insane. His tone for screaming is so good. But what I didn't know is that on all the Sunrise Skater Kids stuff where there was screaming, that was Mike. They would just.
Oh,
have
I
him
didn't know
scream.
that. I just
Yeah.
assumed it was like homie from Ohio that mixed everything.
Oh, Johnny.
Yeah, I just assumed it was Johnny.
Oh God, Johnny's so good.
I know.
I'm actually upset because I really wanted him to like mix my stuff, but he doesn't mix anymore.
Oh yeah, he's just doing his what's his Bill Murray stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Josh, do you listen to Bill Murray?
I've heard songs here and there. Like all my friends really like Bill Murray.
I feel like
'cause
you would really
the most
like Bill
recent
Murray.
one is like a weird mixture of sort of I don't want to say metal because it's like his stuff isn't really metal, but it's like it's very hyper pop influenced in
Mhm.
certain sections.
You would like it a lot.
Yeah. One of the songs has a like deep fried Taco Bell gong that just like boom, like just like distorted and like pumps the compressor like all the way down on the
It's
master
super
bus.
cool.
It's so funny.
What?
He wait, what was that?
Was that sample? Was that a snare?
No, it's the Taco Bell gong. He just-
Like
Oh,
literally
I
the
was gonna say
Taco Bell.
That's cool. And like I kind of want to do that. I have a DX7, so I'll have to find the.
yeah, no, he does a lot of funny sampling sometimes. But yeah, Johnny used to mix and do the instrumentals for a lot of the old stuff.
Mhm.
Now,
So
Jarrod's
the
kinda
guy
been
that
doing it.
was singing like fell off the face of the earth.
yeah, so his name was Varick. No one knows where he went. Like Jarrod doesn't know. His friends don't know. Like,
Crazy.
Varick's friends don't know. Yeah, he just kind of like didn't return any calls, wouldn't pick up his phone. I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
I
Jeez.
just I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, it's not that he disappeared; it's that he's missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. When the world needed him most, he vanished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope mommy's okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was years ago. I think he's okay. I feel like you would have heard something by now. if
Yeah,
something did
probably.
happen. I think maybe he just got like tired of doing the comedy thing. I don't know. He had a band, but they broke up. But they had a whole joke at the end of the standalone Sunrise Skater Kids album, where he's like singing and pretending to talk to the engineer, and he's just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm not even Jarrod. My name is Varick. I'm in a band called Insomniac. But so a lot of people did think that was Jarrod for a long time doing vocals for everything. He does all the vocals for Canadian Softball, though, the Midwest emo one.
Yeah, I assumed that one.
Yeah, which is hilarious. I recently I helped him work on his cover of Christmas Shoes. I don't know if you've heard that.
Oh, I haven't
It's
heard it, but I
so
want to hear
funny.
it so bad.
It's so funny. There's that, and the he did a collaboration with this clothing brand where it was you might have seen the meme picture before, but it's this hat with I forget if it's really tall or just a really long brim. I think it's a really long brim that's completely
Yes.
embroidered. It's all embroidered, and it's about this, basically about a dude fishing. So if you just look up Canadian softball, and yet I fish.
Yeah.
So good. So those are recent things. But yeah, now him and I are doing the music, like production of Sunrise Skater Kids together. Mostly him, just because I don't really do easy core stuff. Like that's just not my forte. He knows how to crank like easy core riffs out and everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's actually a really good guitar player.
Yeah, he's
like
pretty
for
solid.
real.
And what's funny is on all of the stuff, it's all fake. It's all fake. It's the Odin. We use
Really?
Yeah. I played, so on every album there's a medley. And so I won't say what the medley is. But I produced the medley on this one because it is more pop oriented. And so like there's a lot of songs that they're just kind of out of his zone. So we kind of have different strengths now. Varick, didn't produce or anything. He didn't track himself, stuff like that. So this actually did work out. Oh, I shouldn't. Yeah. So anyway, Jarrod held a contest, being like, "Hey, the singer left. We need a new singer." I'm being serious. So you had to cover a song, and I won, I guess. So then.
Yeah, you did First World Tragedy.
Yeah,
right?
You had to do First World Tragedy. But he said one of the things that won him over was the overlapping vocals of all of basically every Sunrise Skater Kid song. I did like a tribute to each one kind of at the very end as a medley little thing. Very Taking Back Sunday,
very on
Fall Out
brand.
Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of thing. Like think of if you know What a Catch, Donnie. Yeah, how it does like the one line from each chorus of all their hits at the very end. I basically did that with Sunrise Skater Kid songs. And he's just like, it may or may not have put me over the edge for consideration or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now that I can track myself, I edit myself, I now am going to be editing like his vocals and stuff like that. And other his label's called Boketo Media.
I saw he changed his YouTube. He's shifted his entire like brand over to the Boketo
like he's
stuff.
like a legit like label, like indie label now. He has like I think eight bands or so, and Bill Murray being one of them signed to it.
I didn't know that he's still going. I thought that he was still just doing the music stuff.
He took a really long break.
Yeah, so since right now we're still working on the Sunrise Skater Kids album. The last album was 5 years ago. So it's been a hot minute. He kind of went quiet for a bit. One, because Varick vanished. And so he couldn't do anything regarding that. And he wasn't really sure what he was going to do.
He did do in 2020. He did do a deathcore record with
the Corona Viscerate. Or whatever.
Yeah, Corona Viscerate for Vermicide Violence.
Yeah. That's I couldn't remember. He has Vermicide Violence. He has Chewed Up.
But it was him and
I forget his name.
Oh shoot, the dude the really genty dude that like heavier set dude.
I can't think of his name.
Oh god, I can't remember his YouTube name. I hate this so much. He's really good.
It's a whole. I forget if it was the EP or full album. Might have been.
I think it was a full album.
That was all just about medical stuff. Like scientifically, completely medically accurate lyrics about like. One of them was about, I think, diarrhea. I'm not gonna lie.
It was. Everything was about like a different sickness. Josh, are you looking this up? It's incredible.
Know the facts, know the disease.
It's so good.
It's really funny. It's actually hilarious.
The Canadian softball album is one of the best albums I've ever heard. I'm not gonna lie. Like just in general. Like it's like, and oh my god, the song with Hotel Books on it. I don't know if you're familiar with
I haven't
Hotel
listened
Books.
to that one, no.
Oh, holy crap. Everybody listening, look up Cut the Cord by Canadian Softball.
I will link.
And I love that even in the lyrics in the description, it doesn't have all the lyrics. And you'll find out why by the end. That is one of the most incredible songs I've ever heard. It's just it's insane, and you'll get why once you hear it. But I mean, that's just a solid overall album, like in general.
So like what's it kind of like what's the relationship there as far as like working relationship?
So we have creative differences. No. I mean, we have different tastes. Is really
well, yeah, for sure.
But it's a good thing because again, we have different strengths, and he's like said to me that like it's nice that like I kind of like fill in the gaps for where and vice versa for me. Like I said, I don't really do like easy core sort of stuff, and he knows how to do that. So whenever we need to do that sort of style or whatever, we were able to kind of swap out for each other. But it's pretty straightforward. And because he like trusts me in my skills as like a producer engineer, it's way less hands-on than he had to be before. So he'll just be like, hey, here's like a demo, can we like produce this up, or like here's like a scratch vocal in the lyrics or whatever, and then ask me to do a demo vocal, and I don't need to be on like a Skype call with him or something. Skype, what am I, like 85? So yeah, whatever, I don't have to be on a call with him to where he's like coaching me. Of course there'll be like revisions or whatever,
obviously,
just to get the basic ideas down. It's cool that he's able to just go off and do he handles like all the merch stuff for every band on the label.
well, I mean, he's like a full-on businessman now.
Oh, his life is like, if it's not in his Google Calendar, like it doesn't happen. Like it's just, he is so like on a rail, like super I don't even want to say organized. It's just like
he works super hard.
Yeah, it's just everything is pretty planned. And I respect it.
Yeah.
And I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, dude. I mean, to do the label side on top of all of the other stuff is
and then like developing
wild.
And like this hasn't officially been announced, but it's not really a surprise, so it doesn't really matter. But like my Foxchase stuff, I'll be signing to Boketo.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like it's not really like
a
big announcement or anything, but and you've seen some of the merch. He sent me a quote unquote the prototype merch, quote unquote.
Bro, I'd buy it.
I'm gonna sell it. Yeah,
so
that will be
good.
That'll be on there for people listening. I don't know if you can upload a picture of it or anything.
Yeah, I will throw a picture on screen right now.
Okay. All right. I don't want.
And now it's gone.
Yeah, if anybody's listening, it's very stock, like not even clip art. Yeah, they're just stock photos. There's just a man funny. Running, like arms and legs just sprawled out, just running to the side, running after a fox. He's like, "I will catch you." It's all in Comic Sans in different colors. I will catch you, and then the fox says no, and then in like I think it's bright green Comic Sans in quotes, and it's not even center aligned; it's aligned to the left. And again, this is on a shirt. And it says like the music is very good, and then it has the name Foxchase, I think, in 3 different Microsoft like word arts, like default. Like one is like grass made of like lawn, the other one is the default like orange red or orange yellow gradient. It's the most like graphic design is my passion TM sort of design, but that will be on there. But anyway, yeah, he'll be like, he helps with like merch designs and stuff. I actually, he has a, because I do, visual art, he has a Crazy 88 shirt that's it's based on Avatar. It has
that's really
Aang,
cool.
Katara, and Sokka, but I redrew them as what's it called? Oh, did we lose Josh?
I think his internet was acting funky earlier.
Oops. Okay.
It's all good.
But it was redrawn as Lauren, Jarrod, and Patty. You know, and it has like Avatar font and everything. But
that's super cool.
Yeah, so like I can do like merch designs for him. He's open for me doing Bill Murray stuff, merch designs and
so
stuff.
That opened up like a ton of opportunities for you. I didn't even realize how much opportunity like that one tryout opened up for you.
Yeah, and like I took it seriously when I did audition.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I didn't really think about what would happen if I actually won.
Yeah.
But like no matter what, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be fun. I didn't really think about like, oh, you know, this will help you know, people see my stuff more. I didn't think about that at all.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, I thought about it when you told me that you won.
Yeah, well, you're probably way more business minded. No, you're definitely way more business minded.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of my whole thing. Is I'm like 30,000 feet of like, you know, this connection leads to this connection. It's like that Charlie Day meme, you know. It's like Yeah. But yeah, I think of those kind of things. I don't expect you to think of those kind of things. You're like, oh, this is cool. It's a meme. Let's do it.
I like funny music.
That's how Shama is too. I get it. Like you and Shama are very much in that like super hyper creative space. And I'm the one, I have to be the one that thinks like, all right, so if we do this, we got to plan for this and this and this, and this and this.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the other thing that's kind of nice, but also annoying about working with Jarrod is that if I have ideas where I'm like, oh, this would be really funny. And even if it is funny or like a fun idea, he'll be like, yeah, but like that won't help us or like help or me, just like not even that it's helping him, like Foxchase stuff. If I say like, oh, what if I covered this song, it's just like, why would people care about that specific song or something, you know what I mean? Like if it's not again, I don't want to say what it is, but there are covers planned for Sunrise Skater Kids, and when deciding the songs, there were some songs where I'm like, these songs are bangers and we have to do them. And people do know them, but they're not like the most well known. And so he has to kind of talk me down and be like, listen, you know, if we're gonna, because if people don't know, you have to pay to do covers.
Yeah. You have to pay per, like, I think it's like a yearly fee.
It's $10 per song. So if you have a bunch of cover EPs, that's a few $100. You know, every year. So they're, in order for you to like not even just break even, you have to make sure that there's songs that people are going to, you know, stream on repeat and stuff like that,
so that you can make sure that you not only break even but can at least profit off of, in at least a little bit.
Yeah, of course. And it's, you know, people don't want to think about that part of music, and that part does kind of kill the vibe a little bit when you have to be like, oh, but it would be fun. And then, you know, come back down to reality. It's not that it's all about money. It's just like, yeah, but you're also going to be losing money just by having these up.
Yeah. And I mean, you got to think of the sense of like, one, that's how, okay, so just for instance, that's like probably a similar thought process that went into that like medical vermicide violence, like deathcore album that we were talking about. And like every single one of those are like rip. So like as a full record for a comedy record to rip in full is super rare. And for like him as an individual to have multiples of those that are incredible is like super. It's a testament to him as a guy thinking on like the grand scheme of things. So I find that really, really cool personally.
Yeah. I mean, and he's said to me, he's like, that was probably the most niche thing I've ever done, is that medical deathcore record.
It's super niche, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, but then again, it also doesn't have the biggest ROI,
Yeah, obviously.
So it's hit or miss or whatever. Same thing with the Christmas shoes thing. It's just like it's a Christmas song, so it's not gonna get streamed a whole bunch. And also, it's like not a super popular Christmas song. The people that know the song hate it. No one likes that song, unless you're like a middle-aged mother that posts Minion memes on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody actually likes Christmas shoes. But it's one of those things like it has to be done. You have this idea and you're like, this has to be done.
That's one of those that if you don't do it, it's gonna itch at you forever.
Like, I don't care if I spoil this because it's just for like TikTok or whatever. I did this cover of Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne, but it was based on this text post that somebody made where all the lyrics were changed to like instead of just being about like this guy and this girl and their like high school relationship, the Lovecraftian god Cthulhu gets involved.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
It's amazing. And so I called it Cthulhu Boy, but it's spelled like K2LHU because it's like SK8.
Yeah.
Boy.
Oh
BOI.
So, gosh, dude, that's so good.
I'll send it to you. It's fun.
So good.
Yeah. It's like he was a boy, she was a girl. I am a sentient octopus. Yeah, it's so good.
That's so good.
Yeah, so that'll just be like a TikTok thing. But I always find as far as like content, I've always been really bad at the whole quote unquote content creator sort of like just having to constantly come up with things that are interesting to people and at the rate that the algorithm wants.
I have a hard time with it too personally. I have a list of, and I mean I do a lot and I have a hard time keeping up with the minimal amount that I do.
Do you do all the social stuff for Shama, or does he kind of?
He does all of so for Shama specifically.
Yeah,
it is him and PD that do all of like the that do all the reels. Anything with music involved, I do.
Gotcha. Well, I was saying like even just Shama's personal presence on social media is strong. Like he has a decent following.
Yeah.
Just as him on his own.
I will say, I talked to, I think I said this to Lee, but Shama did a thing in 2020 where he was like, I'm going to make a reel every twice a week. I'm going to post a reel for a year. And he essentially quadrupled his followership. He went from like 20K to 100K.
I get it, but it's just me. I can't think of enough things to. But
that's why he has, bro. He doesn't write anything by himself. That's the other thing.
That's fair.
Ideas come to like all of us, and we pitch him. We're in a constant state of pitching ideas to each other. Like we have a notes thing, a big thing in notes for like different reels ideas, or this is pretty funny. And then sometimes he'll take clips from. One thing that helped is we had a ton of YouTube videos, so he clipped out some of our older YouTube videos and used those as reels.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing that because obviously, like,
reusable content, baby.
Yeah, well, TikTok's been around, but it's definitely, it's become the peak, the pinnacle social media at the moment. Obviously, that's not going to last.
No, it won't. It'll die off. I mean, probably not soon, but
no, I don't think it's going to even die off soon. But everything gets replaced,
Yeah, Facebook's like dead pretty much.
I don't know how Facebook is still alive, and I'm on it every day, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I think it's just because music people.
Maybe well, the reason I have is I get all my work through Facebook, pretty much. That's just like Messenger.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So I kind of did the same thing. It's like Instagram DMs and Messenger.
I don't touch Instagram, and almost like I don't even get a lot or any work like requests through Instagram other than like collab, bro.
So yeah, I do more. I think it may just be like because of the kind of work that I do.
Yeah.
It's a little more like public facing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're not like you're not like a solo singer or something like that. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like I'm producing stuff. It's easy for me to just like produce a beat,
Yeah.
post and make a video of it and post it, and like get requests off of that. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that song's dope. I'd like to work with you, or even just like the start of a conversation
Mhm.
generally will happen through that and will lead to something later down the road.
Yeah.
But that's interesting that you get most of your work through like it's probably mostly like referrals and Facebook Messenger.
Yeah. No, it's pretty much been all word of mouth. I've never had a portfolio. I've never had a website.
I was gonna say I don't even think you have a website because
God no, I've tried. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even finish setting up like the domain or anything like that. Like you want to plan the site first, you know, before you just go and get a domain name or whatever. But so I got to the point where I was kind of have like this existential crisis. It's not nearly that serious, but to the point where I was just like, I don't know what I want to do as a job, like in my career. It's
Yeah.
just like, I know I don't want to record people anymore.
Mhm.
Do I want to produce for people? I'm like, well, sometimes I like doing that, but not enough to where I can do it as a job and not be miserable.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say obviously, but there have been projects that I've had to produce, and you know, I pretty much never back out of a project because you know, if I tell somebody I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I've stopped working for people. You know, if there's an issue or like if I'm just like, I don't think this is I'm
A good fit.
what I always say is I don't think I'm the right fit,
Mhm.
but I'm the issue. Not that it's even like somebody's fault, you know, some people just don't work together
Yeah.
or whatever. But I couldn't produce songs for artists where I was happy with it 100% of the time, or if like very clearly we have different directions, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah. So I was like, I don't know if I can really do production as a thing. I'm like, do I want to do session vocals? And like, there have been times where I work on really cool songs and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I was happy to be a part of this. I felt like the majority of the time was being hired, and my rates were really low at the time too.
Mhm.
Was being hired for songs that I was less than thrilled to be a part of.
Yeah.
There have been times where I had to turn down work just due to things that were being sung about.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I was just like, I can't do this. But so I had this thing where I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But what I've always liked was vocal editing, because it's not creative. Really, I have my taste, my preferences for
Mhm.
how I like things to sound, but for the most part, it's very methodical and
Mhm.
like, you know, I don't have to think too much.
Yeah.
I can just go. And a lot of people don't like it because it's a boring process. And like, yeah, I get that. For me, it's like solving a puzzle.
Yeah.
To me, where it's like, oh, I hear this sounds weird, and then if I put it in the right place and like make it, you know, nudge the note or something,
Yeah. Slide it up or down slightly
Yep.
or back and forth
it's
slightly.
just like,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds so much better. And then you get like layers that lock in with it too, and it's just like, oh, like, you know, it sounds awesome now.
It is
and
very
It's
satisfying.
there is a payoff of like, oh, it's so transformative.
Mhm.
It really is such a massive difference. There are artists where I know they don't edit their vocals, which is fine. That's a choice. Oh, I told you I was gonna go on a mini rant, and I'll just do that really quick.
Yeah. Let's go for
Uh,
it, dude.
People that complain about tuning vocals and they're like, you know, back in my day, they didn't need vocal editing. Like the Beatles did vocal editing. The Beatles would speed up and slow down tape to change pitch. There were tons of 80s bands that would use the Eventide harmonizer to change pitch in vocal tune. It was just way harder.
Yeah.
They would just like have to slice it up and do it bit by bit. And like, so it's not even, it's just a way to get the song to a finished place that like sounds good. I don't want to hear a song out of tune. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I don't think it adds to the emotional quality of it or anything. Like, sure, like you don't want everything to be 100% quantized maybe, but just the act of tuning is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And it just, I've had to learn how to not engage on social media and stuff.
Oh yeah,
whenever I
with
see
those kind
people
of conversations.
complain
Yeah.
that like, I mean, I get constantly that people would say like, oh, like when I became the vocalist for Songwriter Skater Kids, they're like, oh, so much auto tune. I'm like, okay, like I don't care enough.
Yeah.
Because like to me, like I love tune, like the sound of tuned vocals. You know, it's sure there's some parts where maybe I tune a little harder than some people might on certain styles or something. I just like the polish. But for a lot of stuff, it sounds natural. Like for, I would say 99% of the stuff I do for people, like I try and make, you know, pretty natural sounding. It's not distracting is the thing.
Yeah.
And if it is, that's a stylistic choice. Like you want it to sound like hard tuned. But anyway, people, that's my thing is that a lot of people don't realize that in the golden era or whatever you want to call it, of recording, there was vocal editing and there was
a ton of it.
Yeah.
It was just so hard.
Yeah.
It was way less known too.
Yeah, I feel like, and maybe back then it was more of a like we don't want to let people know,
like a taboo thing. Yeah,
and which then carried over to like when Cher first used the like Antares brand auto tune on Believe and like, and it was like that really hard tune thing. It's just like clearly we know Cher can fucking sing. Like, it's not like as soon as she uses it, it's just like the talent's gone. It's gone.
Yeah,
it sucked it out. It's in the computer now. You know, it's so absurd. And there were, you know, old recordings of like my stuff, like my pitch is not perfect at all. And whenever I do my vocal tracking, I don't really care about my pitch at all.
You're going for emotion.
Yeah, it's like the tone. Like I pay way more attention to vowel sounds and like, you know, stuff like that. Or like as stupid as it may sound, or analytical, like the length of an S, stuff like that.
No, that definitely matters. Or like where your breath is being placed in spots, or like
definitely. I'm way less. Turns out I'm way more lenient on breaths than a lot of people. Apparently, a lot of people like edit breaths. I don't think I've really ever edited breaths.
I know a lot of people that turn them down.
Yeah, a lot of when I vocal line, you know, those breaths get aligned anyway, so it's fine. Sometimes I like on big vocal stacks, I'll fade out the breath for all the backgrounds. But as far as like a lead vocal, I want it to sound like a human being that's breathing. Yeah.
There's some I've heard some songs where they've just edited every breath out completely, and it feels suffocating.
It's so weird, and it happens. And I get it. It happens a lot in hip hop, for like really fast verses, and where they like clearly you needed to take a breath somewhere. There's like, and you see some people can you know, go really long, like they can get a really long string of words out before having to take another breath. But in the studio, there's nothing wrong to me with punching in and you know, having like, there are tons of times where if people saw, and not that I hide it or anything, it's just that, you know, people aren't seeing my sessions normally. But if people saw how comped my vocals are in terms of like, I don't do the traditional like sing through a whole part and then I have like 8 takes and then I piece them together. I will just keep singing the line until I get it right. Or like if I got half the line, then I will punch in and just do the second half. But I don't do alternate takes and then comp. I just keep like destructively recording over
until it's right.
Yeah. And again, it's focusing on delivery way more than pitch, because that's super.
That's the important part.
Yeah, I mean, like
the emotion and the feeling behind the words is the
absolutely.
part that people connect with more so than the pitch.
Yeah, there's for like the Dear Maria thing. When on the initial TikTok, if you listen to the audio versus I fully remixed the entire song when I put out the full version later on. But if you listen, there's a word in the first verse, and I can't remember what word, that if you listen to the short version, it's a different take than the final one, because it was bothering me so much that like I said a word in a very weird way to me that most people did not notice. I guarantee that almost no one noticed it, but I hear that it was like a weird inflection. And so I went in and re-recorded just that single word and put it in. And, you know, it's that kind of, you don't need that kind of perfectionism, but it's just unfortunately how my brain works, which then causes things. Things come out cool. You know, I'm usually happy with, you know, regardless of the mix and master and stuff like that. Arrangement wise, I'm almost always happy. I end up being like pretty proud of what I end up doing as far as the actual arrangement of things.
No, for sure. I would have to agree. Like I show your stuff to people all the time, just like the different like cartoon animated like theme song things. And yeah, dude, I'm always shooting your stuff around to people. So as we're landing the plane, because the snow took Josh's internet out completely. Yeah, sad. As we're landing the plane, what are some stuff that you can talk about for the year?
For the year, oh man,
that you have
all
planned.
The cool stuff I can't.
I know.
NDAs.
This episode will air in either early February or early March.
Yeah. So there's something really cool happening in summer.
Okay, cool.
That I can't say, but I can vaguely say.
Okay.
Yeah. So, doing something very cool for a television network.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that will be very fun. And actually, I have a few things that are going to be on like shows.
That's really cool.
One, the main thing I just said is like a big thing. The other thing is just like I sang in like background harmony parts on something.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely the Sunrise Skater Kids album is coming out this year. When? I don't know. It's not.
Yeah. You'll see it on the internet when it gets announced.
That I really, and I know I say this to myself every year, but I really want to actually start doing Foxchase stuff that, you know, I do tons of covers and everything, but actually put out music. I have a few songs that are at least demos recorded.
For sure.
So I definitely want to get that out. And of course I'll have stupid merch like that shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are definitely like my two like things I really want to get done as far as like music stuff goes. Yeah, and like right now, you know, I'm still doing the whole like vocal editing thing. Ideally, you know, I like doing it. And it's a nice like passive income, or not even passive because I still have to do stuff, but like it's a smaller burst of income, I guess. But I would like to be able to focus mostly on like Sunrise Skater Kids and
for sure
stuff. Because then more stuff you get out, the more you reap what you sow, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the more you get opportunities for.
Yeah. So yeah, those are like my big things I'm looking forward to musically. And I'll just throw this out there. Though I don't know if I'll actually get around to it this year because I've been slowly working on it and then restarting. I was working on a plugin, a virtual instrument of myself singing for like pad vocals, like oohs and ahs and stuff, because I always track those and I hate having to track them all the time. If they're always just the same.
Cool.
Yeah, so I started it and I did a really old version that sounded like it played fine, but like there was no sort of velocity,
sensitivity.
Yeah, stuff like that. And obviously that's time consuming having to do like round robins and stuff. But yeah, I definitely want to eventually get around to doing that, because not only will that help myself in just being able to do either really soft pad vocals or like big, powerful ones for like a big chorus or something in the background, just like some ahs or oohs
Yeah.
or whatever. But yeah, that's another thing that hopefully I can look forward to working on this year.
Dude, well, yeah, heck yeah, that's super sick. I'm stoked for you, man. It sounds like you have a pretty full year like ahead of you and ready
And
to
then I'm
go.
getting married, and then I'm looking.
Yeah,
for a
I know,
house.
man. Looking for a house, getting married, all this kind of stuff, dude. Heck yeah. No, I'm so. Where can people find you?
Yeah. So I'm mainly on YouTube. I'm really awful at social media. Other than my personal, you can find me on Facebook if you want to follow me. It's just Clay Agnew. I do have a Foxchase page on there that I just never use. I'm so bad about it. But yeah, on YouTube, I'm just Foxchase. On Instagram and TikTok, I am at Foxchase Clay. Because people took my name and they suck. And yeah, on Instagram, I mostly like post art stuff. And then TikTok, I try and put out videos, but you know.
Heck yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if people want to stay up to date,
Cthulhu boy,
Yeah.
follow me on TikTok.
yeah, stay up to date with everything that you're doing. Yeah, give him a follow and give the YouTube. There's a bunch of fun stuff on his YouTube channel that's already there. That's fun to watch.
So we briefly mentioned them, but they were called Tiny Toon Tuesdays. Were like a weekly thing that I was doing. The first ones were just like covers. They were pretty bad. They were in my old apartment where I had to record. All the vocals in those were recorded in my car.
Shoot.
Yeah, because I on SM7 into my MacBook. And obviously you can't have the air on because it'll pick it up. So
Yeah.
it's in Nashville. So it's super hot. It's like 90 plus degrees in the car, and I'm trying to like, I'm like screaming the high notes and praying by Kesha. and so yeah, that was a process. But the second season was all I wanted to go for a theme, and those were all TV shows. Early 2000s TV shows or whatever. Yeah, those were a lot of fun. Eventually, those are going on streaming services this year too. I'll
heck yeah,
remix
that's
them
exciting.
and everything. Because I said that they were going to, and then I had to move and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, and now that you have Booketto backing,
yeah, and
it's going to help a lot more.
I just have a little bit more breathing room for myself.
For
now
sure.
that I can take a little less work from outside stuff. So,
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
That's super sick. Go follow him, people. All on the links. Josh is sorry that he could not come back in. He hates his house and his internet. Clay, thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us today.
Thanks for dealing with my rambling. It's so
Dude,
bad.
It's not that bad, bro. We did an entire episode one time that I just didn't air because it just ended up being me and Josh rambling the whole time.
Really?
So it's not that.
Did it have a topic? Like vaguely?
Huh?
Did it vaguely have a topic or no?
I don't remember. It was, we got on here and just started talking one day and
All right.
it just went off the rails and I was like, we're not using this.
But hey, it was fun.
It was fun. But yeah, dude, thanks so much for coming and hanging out. Guys, go follow Clay. He's a great dude. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course, dude. Thanks for listening, listeners. And we will see you next time.